Welcome once again. My name is Mr. Nicholas Mutinda from Nairobi branch. We are going to discuss chapter 4 in this video. And chapter 4 deals with management in practice. When you talk about management in practice, this is where the real management is happening. This is where we apply the real skills, the real knowledge. This is where we discuss about the concepts of management which can be applied in the organizational setup to ensure that the organization is moving in the right direction, to ensure that employees are working optimally, to ensure that productivity is at the highest point possible. Now, here we are going to discuss about the concepts that we apply in our daily lives, in our daily day-to-day running of organizations. We are going to be talking about corporate objectives of an organization. What are those objectives? How do we set objectives? And why is it critical for us to set objectives for the organization? If we are talking about a department, why is it essential for us to set objectives for the department, for the branch, for the section we are heading? We are also going to talk about organizational development. How can we be able to ensure that there is harmonious relationship in the departments we are heading? How to ensure that there is productivity. Productivity is at its highest level in the departments we are heading, in the organization we are talking about. We run, we lead. How do we ensure that employees are working optimally? Each one of them is working optimally. We are also going to talk about the concepts of effective organization. What are these concepts that can enable us of our organizations to be effective in its business setup? We are also going to talk about organizational structure. What is the most appropriate structure for organizations? What is the most, depending on the environment we are in, how can we ensure that we adopt the best organizational structure? We are also going to talk about human resource planning and job designs. How do we ensure that employees, we have the right number of employees and the right kind, the right quality and the right quantity of employees? How do we ensure that? We are also going to talk about a very key concept in management: decision making and problem solving. You are at a crossroad. How do you make decisions? How do you ensure that you make the right decisions? Remember, some of the decisions require urgency. Others require for you to go and think through as we discuss. We are also going to talk about corporate governance and governance boards in management. How do we ensure that the organizations are working in tandem? Where do we ensure that there is corporate governance in order to ensure that the organization does not only achieve its objectives, but also it has a good name, it has a corporate brand in the environment it is operating in. Thank you very much. I want to remind you, before we go to 4.1, I want to remind you, kindly subscribe to my channel. It is free of charge. You just need to click the subscription button, and you will have subscribed, and you will be able to get more videos of this unit. Thank you very much, and I welcome you to the today's class. So we are going to start with 4.1, corporate objectives of an organization. 4.1, corporate objectives of an organization. So what do we mean by corporate objectives? What is corporate objectives? What do we mean by corporate objective? And a corporate objective is a well-defined and realistic goal set by a company that often influences its internal strategic decisions. These are well-defined and realistic goal. A corporate objective is those goals that a company sets up, that an organization set up in order to ensure that it is able to operate. Realistic goal. corporate objectives are more specific goals. Now, remember we talked about definition of management, and one of the key words of definition of management was when we are talking about desired goals. And we say desired goals are organizational objectives. Organizational objectives. So when you are talking about corporate objectives, we are simply talking about the objectives of the organization as a whole. How do we ensure that we set realistic organizational objectives? And probably these are just objectives, but one of the keywords is corporate. And when I talk about corporate, we are simply talking about the objectives of the organization as a whole. What are those objectives of the organization as a whole? We want to increase our market share by 20%. That is a corporate objective because it is for the whole organization. Now, if we are talking about probably at the department level, we want to increase efficiency. Probably when a person walks in, it takes him 30 minutes for him to be served. How can we increase the objective, the corporate objective? How can we increase this and let's say to 25 minutes? Corporate objectives. Now, one of the key things you have to note, to understand about corporate objectives. Corporate objectives lead to internal strategies of the organization. They are linked because all the departments, all the decisions of the departments, all the decisions of the branches are aligned to the corporate objective. The top management comes up with a corporate objective of the organization, and then it shares that objective to the departments. And now the departments come up with the targets, specific action plans to ensure that the organization can be able to achieve these corporate objectives. So from corporate objectives, as the things trickle down, as the objective trickle down, each department is coming up with more specific goal, is coming up with more specific action in order to ensure that the corporate objective of the organization is achieved. So when you are talking about corporate objectives, it sets more specific goals of the organization, aims to be achieved, and the desired end results. Corporate objectives are formalized within the framework of a corporate strategy. Because what was the strategy of the organization? What was the strategy of the organization? And it is now from those strategy of the organization, now we come up with objectives. If the strategy of the organization probably is to digitize its operations, now the corporate objective may be to continuously employ ICT experts. That is a corporate objective. Probably it may not. Is to digitize. Let's probably we can look at it. The corporate objective of the organization is to digitize operations. Now this is the strategy of the organization. Now from this strategy, the corporate objective, this is the strategy. The corporate objective may be ensure we have ICT experts, ICT oriented employees. Now, from here, this is the strategy, digitize operations. This is the corporate objective now. Now, going down to HRM, human resource management, because it is one of the key departments to actualize this. Now, the action plan will be probably to train its employees on ICT issues. Another action plan may be to employ ICT people. Now, look at the way it is developing. As we go a bit down, as we go down the ladder, it is becoming more specific and more action plans. We are coming up with action plans. We are coming up with the specific aims. And that's why we say corporate objectives of an organization, they are very key. Because supposing we did not have this, what will happen? Will the HRM be able to employ? Will it know that we need to employ ICT people? No, it won't. So corporate objectives of an organization are very key. And one of the things you have to note also about corporate objectives, we may have explicit and implicit. And when you're talking about explicit, we are simply talking about, are they clearly defined? Are they clearly defined? Are they easily understandable by all the employees? And we are saying, when the corporate objectives are clearly defined, are clearly communicated to all the employees, the organization is at an advantage to achieve its objectives, as compared when the objectives are implicit. When you talk about implicit, we simply mean they are hidden. They are hidden. They are not clearly seen. They are not clearly defined. For instance, you go to a bank, then you find their implicit costs, probably insurance. They are not clearly seen. Probably you are told the bank interest, the interest rate will be 15%. But then you go, now you have gotten the loan and you are paying. That's why you find there was some hidden cost. So we are saying a corporate objective should be explicit, clearly seen, clearly understood by all the employees. And the issue about smart, they should also be smart. They should also be smart. I think all of you know smart. When we are talking about smart, when we are talking about smart, we are simply talking about specific, measurable, smart. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Now, having said that, I think that is all about corporate objectives. They assist in ensuring that there is communication between the employees and the top management. Look at this way: when all the employees know the direction the organization is going on, it becomes easier even to manage them. It becomes easier even to articulate issues. It becomes easier even for the employees themselves to be able to do their work professionally. Now, we can quickly go to 4.2. Organizational development. OD. And what do we mean by organizational development? Now, you realize that some organizations are working, but then at a particular time, their productivity goes down. Some organizations may have challenges in ensuring in achieving their objectives. Now, at that particular juncture, when the organization is not going the way it is, it's not performing to the required standards, it requires what we call organizational development. And when we are talking about organizational development, we are simply saying it includes, it refers to the various ways and procedures which can increase the productivity and effectiveness of an organization. What are these strategies you as a manager you can employ? What are these strategies you as a manager you can apply to your department, you can apply to your organization to ensure that you increase productivity? Increase productivity to ensure that the organization is effective in its operations. What are these ways? What are these ways? You join an organization, probably you have been promoted as a department head, promoted probably to a branch manager. How do you ensure that your branch, probably the person who was there before, your predecessor, ran down the organization was not doing good, was not performing as expected, and now you have been sent there to resuscitate the organization. What are these ways? What are these strategies that you can ensure that you apply to that organization and the organization starts performing to increase productivity, to increase effectiveness in the organization? Those are what we are calling organizational development. And probably the formal definition of organizational development is a generic term embracing a wide range of loosely defined intervention strategies into the social processes of an organization. The intervention strategies are aimed at the development of individuals, groups, and the organization as a total system. What are these strategies that are aimed probably at individuals, at groups, or organization as a total system? Probably you might join an organization and you find in this organization the culture is not effective, probably is not the right culture to ensure that productivity is. Or you join an organization and you find that meritocracy is a foreign word. People do not embrace meritocracy. People are promoted based on nepotism. Now, what are these ways you are going to ensure that nepotism is erased in the organization? And that now the organization embraces meritocracy. Meritocracy. Those are the ways, those are the organizational development we are talking about. And those are the strategies we are saying. How do you ensure that those strategies, what is it that you ensure that the strategies, the organization you can develop, you can motivate the employees, you can ensure that the departments are working together, you can ensure that departments are working in the right direction, you can ensure individuals or a group of people are working towards achieving the organizational objectives of the organization. Those are what we are calling organizational development. Now, why organizational development? What is the essence of ensuring that we have an organizational development? The concept of organizational development enables the organization to achieve the targets and meet the objectives of the organization at a faster rate. When we employ organizational development, you are able to meet the objectives at a faster rate, more effectively. Number two, employees are are able to respond better to changes in the work culture. So, there is organizational development in the organization. So, employees are able to respond better to changes in the work culture. Employees are able to respond better to the work culture. Another reason for organizational development is that it helps employees to focus on their jobs and to contribute to the best possible way. It helps employees to focus on their jobs and to contribute in their best way possible. And then probably lastly, it enables the management to handle employees in better ways, which results to organization achieving its objectives. Now, that was the reasons. Now, probably we can look at what are these strategies? Strategies for OD. What are these strategies? What are these strategies? What are the strategies for OD? And number one is survey, research, and feedback. Survey, research, and feedback. When you are talking about survey, research, and feedback, we are talking about whereby you as a manager, probably you can commission a survey in the employees. The employees give their own opinions, their attitudes, and determine the attitudes of the members of the functioning department. And then the results are shared with the top management. Why do you think that this department, when all the departments are ranked, this is always the last department? So you do a survey amongst all the members of that department, and they will be able to tell you, here we don't have the requisite tools. Here our manager does not motivate us. Here nepotism is rampant in this department. And that the survey now, the feedback now is passed to the top management. Now top management can be able to come up, how do we solve those issues that the employees have raised? How do we solve those issues? How do we ensure that this department is working the way it is? And that is what we are calling survey, research, and feedback. Number two is what we call T groups or sensitivity surveys. When you are talking about sensitivity surveys, this is whereby probably you can employ, you as a manager, you be interacting with the employees in that department in that organization, and you will be able to gauge what is the things that you are going through. Probably the meeting may be unstructured. Probably you are working, for instance, and though we're going to talk about management by walking around. You are walking around to gauge what are these things that the employees find them not well done. You are working, you are trying to do sensitivity and structured face-to-face meetings and structured face-to-face groupings. You want to gauge what is it this that makes employees not to perform. How can you help the employees to ensure that they are working? And structured face-to-face meetings. Another thing is what we call team building. Team building. And team building, probably most of you have heard about team building. You want to diagnose the procedures and the patterns of human interactions within a work group. For instance, you go for team building sections. This team is competing on another. Work procedures. How do we ensure that you bring all the employees together? Probably each one was undercutting. Is it in a? Each one was not people. The people in that department were not working as a group. Were not working as a team. How do you ensure that you bring them together to ensure that they understand that each one of them depends, performance depends on the other. So the team, they depend on each one in order for them to succeed. How do you bring them together? And from there, now you can be able to help the organization or the department to perform as required. Another thing is what we call role analysis. Role analysis. When you are talking about role analysis, we are simply talking about you analyze the role of each one. Analyze the role of each member. Or employee in the organization. What is the role of employee X? What is the role of employee Y? Is it necessary? Can we be able to improve? We started, that role was started in 20 years ago. Is it still relevant? We have the right skills. Does that person have the right skills? The role analysis. Another one is what we call life and career planning. Career planning. And when we are talking about role, life and career planning, life and career planning, what we are interested here is what is the career desires for each member, for each employee. What is the career desires for each employee? How can we link this career plan for each employee to the organizational objectives? How can we ensure that the employees are able to pursue their career plan as well as help the organization achieve its objectives? For instance, the career of employee X is to ensure that to acquire more knowledge in ICT matters. Now, the organization is digitizing its operations. What if that a person is helped to further his skills, further his knowledge in career, and then he is retained by the organization or is promoted to the next position? You are helping the person, and by helping the person, the organization is benefiting from the skills of this person. And that's what we are calling life and career planning. How do you ensure that those organizations, the employees, the career of the employees can be able to benefit the organization? Now, if somebody has to pursue a career in probably cybercrime, the organization is digitizing the operation, so it will be faced by cyber crimes, definitely. And there is an employee who is interested in pursuing a career in cybercrime. Supposing now the organization funds training of this employee. Now, this employee will be able to work in the cybercrime department to ensure that the organization does lose money through cybercrime. And at the same time, the person is achieving his life life desire, or is also enhancing his career. Now that is what we are calling what? Life and career planning. Another thing is what we call quality of life. Quality of life. Are your employees having a good quality of life? Remember, they cannot, if they don't have a good quality of life, probably you are losing something as an organization. So ensure that you improve the quality of life of your employees, and in the end, the employees will be able to work in a more motivated way, and hence you'll be able to ensure that they achieve the objectives of the organization. Now, I think that is all about strategies. Probably you can talk about key concepts of OD, and one of these them is organizational climates. Here we are talking about conducive environment. Conducive environment for the employees. You cannot be talking about organizational development if you and then you leave conducive environment. It goes in tandem. Probably the environment that the employees are working in is not conducive. Another thing is what you're calling organizational culture. What is the culture? I talked about meritocracy and nepotism. That is a culture. You change the organizational culture of the organization and you find you are able to increase productivity. Another thing is about organizational strategies and how an organization identifies problems, plans of action. What are the strategies of the organization? Is it always to use shortcuts? What is the strategy? To make money, even though by all means, how you use the integrity? What is the strategy of the organization? Probably you need to look at that. And then we have what are the core values of organizational development? Core values. Probably you can list this. Core values of organizational development. Core values. Providing opportunities for people. Providing opportunities for everyone. Providing opportunities for everyone. That is one of the core values of organizational development. Number 2 is ensuring seeking increase in effectiveness of the organization. Effectiveness of the organization. How do we increase effectiveness of the organization? How do we ensure that all the policies, all the procedures, all the methods are aimed at increasing the effectiveness of an organization? How do we ensure that all the things that we do are aimed at increasing the effectiveness of the organization? Treating each employee as a human being. Treating each one. Treatment of the employees. How do we ensure that all employees are being treated as human? Remember, these are not machines. Remember we said when we were talking about chapter 1, we talked about management being a social process. So you are interacting with people. How do you ensure that the people, you treat them as human beings? If somebody has been always on time and today he comes late, and you ask him, where were you? He tells you, I got a traffic jam. which has never been there. Kindly understand that person. There's no need of to keep quarreling him, because these are human beings. He has feelings. He can be hurt. Now, objectives of organizational development. Objectives of organizational development: to increase the level of interpersonal trust among employees. Objectives. To increase the level of interpersonal trust. To increase trust among employees. Number 2, to increase level of satisfaction. Level of satisfaction and commitment of employees. You increase their level of satisfaction and commitment to employees. To confront problems. Instead of neglecting them. You confront the problems as they come. You confront them head on before they become probably bigger issues. To effectively manage conflicts. To increase cooperation and collaboration. These are very key words. Cooperation and collaboration. These are very critical points. You will see an organization will not be able to achieve its objectives if there is no cooperation and collaboration between the different parties. If you are talking about departments, there must be some cooperation. There must be collaboration between the departments. If you are talking about employees, there must be some cooperation. So, when you are talking about organizational development, it aims at ensuring that you increase that cooperation. You increase that collaboration in the organization, in the department, in the subsection you are heading. Another thing is to put in place processes that will improve ongoing operation of the organization. You have to ensure that the processes are working towards the achievement of the organization. Now, I think that is all we can talk about. That is what we can talk about organizational development. Now to the 4.3, concepts of effective organization. Concepts of effective organization. And when we are talking about concepts, we are simply saying for the organization to ensure it's working efficiently and effective, there are certain concepts that can help us to ensure that there is harmonious operation, there is effectiveness, there is efficiency in the organization. What are these concepts? Now, number 1 is what we call division of work. And when we are talking about division of work, is ensuring that the work is divided based on the skills and expertise, based on the capacity of each employee.
Divide the work. This guy is better off when he is in customer care. Put him there. This guy can be able, is effective when he is working in a back room, back office. Put him there. There is division of work. Not everyone, you are the one who is looking for a file in the back room, in the back office. You are the one who is serving the customer. No. Ensure there is division of work. You are required to go to desk 1, you are required to go to desk 2, you are required to go to desk 3. Take for instance, when you are talking about in a bank, it is the teller who is giving people money, is still the one who is opening bank accounts, is still the one issuing loans. How can that be effective? But you go to a bank, you find there is somebody who is in charge of opening bank accounts. There is somebody who is in charge of customer care issues. There is somebody who is in charge of loans. There is somebody who is in charge of cash withdrawal and deposits. That is what we are calling division of work. Another thing is that you must ensure that there is attention to objective. People have attention to objective. In everything you do, you are aiming at the objective of the organization. All the focus is towards achievement of the objectives of the organization. There is nothing more. There is nothing less. We are talking about, if you are talking about probably market share, minimization of cost. If the objective is to ensure that you bring your cost down, everyone in the organization is supposed to be talking about that. Everyone in the organization is supposed to be working towards that. Another thing is what we call span of control. Span of control. Here we are talking about how many people a certain manager is in charge of. How many people a certain manager is in charge of? How many people report to a certain manager? Because it must be the appropriate number depending on the work, depending on the nature of the work. Because when somebody is in charge of a large number of people, you find that he's not effective in supervising them. And that's why you find, for instance, when you are talking about manufacturing companies, you find probably in the production department, you find they have divided production into line 1, line A, line B, line C, to ensure that these guys, probably 30 people, this guy supervises only 30, this guy supervises only 30, this guy supervises only 30. Because you can't be able to supervise 100. So what is the span of control? Another thing is what we call a unity of command. Unity of command. Unity of command. There must be somebody who has the ultimate authority in the organization about the department. Unity of command. There must be somebody who has the ultimate authority in the organization. There should be no confusion of who is in charge of what. Because if there is confusion, definitely the organization will not be working harmoniously. Somebody suspends an employee, another one reinstates him. This guy is saying this employee is performing better. The other one is talking about inefficiency. That organization cannot work harmoniously, and as a result, you will not be able to perform as expected. There must be proper balance. There must be proper balance. And when you're talking about proper balance, we are talking about ensuring that the organizations, let's say production department, marketing department, and finance department, This guy, there must be a proper balance between them. How do they work in tandem? Segment or department of an organization to balance. Not this guy, all the employees are here. This department employees, graduates, this one employees, certificate holders. These guys are given morning tea, these guys are not given. There should be a proper balance. There should be a proper balance in the organization. Another one is efficiency. Efficiency. We have talked about efficiency for several times. We have talked about efficiency. Unity of direction. Is the organization moving in the same direction? Is the organization moving towards the same direction? Another thing is what we call about continuity. There must be continuity in the organization. Where we left last year, there's continuity. Things, if we are talking about objectives, there must be continuity. It's not an issue of discrete. There must be continuity. Continuity in the organization. Another thing is about coordination. There must be effective coordination. Effective coordination between departments, between various sections, between various branches, between various people in the organization. Otherwise, you will not be able to achieve the objectives of the organization. And probably lastly, but not the least, authority and responsibility. Authority and responsibility. These are very key words. These are very key concepts. You have been given authority. You have been given responsibility. When you are given a responsibility, you must be given an authority commensurate with the responsibility. You can't tell me I'm in charge of employees, but you don't give me authority to punish them when they don't perform. There must be, those things, there must be working in tandem. They must be commensurate, considerate. You give me a responsibility, give me a considerate, commensurate authority. I'm in charge of a branch, but I can't punish employees. I can't allocate resources. I'm in charge. I'm in charge of probably a department, but I can't allocate the employees in the various duties. So how will you ask question me, how will you question me when the employee is not performing? Yet I knew you did not give me the authority to allocate him where I think he fits. So those are the several concepts of effective organization, and I think we are through with this video. We'll definitely look at the next video that will take us through 4.4. And before we end, kindly, I want to request you kindly subscribe to my channel. It is free of charge. You're not charged anything. You just need to click at the subscription button there below the video, and you will be able to receive more videos of practice of management. So kindly subscribe to my video. It's free of charge, and thank you for watching.